welcome back to Biz Asia America. Brazilian oil company OGX has filed for bankruptcy. This after the company's market value has plummeted from nearly $45 billion in 2010 to nearly zero. It's the latest in a series of financial misfortunes for Eike Batista. Not long ago, the former billionaire was pretty big. He was basically Brazil's big success story. And now he's a symbol for its economic problems. Paulo Cabral joins us now from Sao Paulo, and I'm sure you've been following this very closely. And does this come as a shock to the people of Brazil?
Well, it does certainly feel, because, you know, a little more than a year ago, Eike Batista was this country's richest man with a fortune of estimated $35 billion. He became a household name in Brazil, really. But actually, all this money came from the valuation of his company's shares, all of them involved in very ambitious projects in the areas of infrastructure, mining, energy. But what is now clear is that actually investors grossly overvalued those shares. Now, the companies did not deliver, and Mr. Batista's fortune is below $100 million. And his main asset, as you were saying, oil company OGX, missed repayments to creditors and had to file for bankruptcy protection. It's the last bid of the company to try and survive.
Eike Batista has to convince the creditors that there is value in keeping the company operating. My guess is that there is a big chance of creditors accepting a restructuring plan, because a large part of the assets of the companies are rights to exploit oil, and those rights are not something that are tradable. What I mean is that if the company goes under liquidation, then those assets go back to the state.
But actually, Mr. Batista is not alone in his problems with creditors in Brazil. Actually, it's a problem also felt much further down the social ladder. It's another display of Brazil's slowing down economy. Like tens of millions of Brazilians, Marcos Crispim joined the so-called lower middle class over the last decade and became a consumer. And banks were ready and eager to give people like him loans and credit cards. And it worked perfectly for a time. Now the spending spree is over. He's unemployed and the hard time to repay the debts has come.
Eu tô evitando muito, né, usar porque
I can't use the credit card anymore. My credit limit is not that high, and all the money I have to pay in interest is absurd, so I can't get rid of the debt.
In Brazil, the credit card interest rates go beyond 190% per year, while banks charge, on average, 145% for overdraft. And even personal loans top 40%. With such rates, delaying payments can be a killer. This office in central São Paulo is where people come to check their credit rating and start the process of renegotiating debts. There are signs that consumer delinquency rates have risen because banks aren't lending as much.
Hoje, esses cerca de 40 milhões de consumidores que entraram no mercado.
The 40 million new consumers that joined the consumer market over the last decade now have debts, so the bank themselves are now being much more strict to give credit. So there are less consumers coming to the market. These newcomers don't have many debts yet, of course, but we may have a problem with those that have already a large chunk of their wages compromised by loans.
The expansion of consumer credit was a key part of Brazil's growth strategy over the last decade, but now many analysts say that consumers' difficulties to repay their debts is yet another reminder that Brazil urgently needs to create and develop a path less reliant on the growth of middle-class consumption.
Paulo Cabral, thank you very much. Live for us in Sao Paulo.